All right, let's jump right in. You've probably heard these terms flying around all the time: LLM, RAG, AI agent. But what do they actually mean? And more importantly, how do they all fit together? We're going to break it all down, nice and simple, using a real-world example you can actually relate to.
So, picture this. It all kicks off with a question we have all asked at some point. Where's my order? You pop it into a chat window and you're just hoping for a quick, straight answer. This one little interaction, it's the perfect way to unpack all the different layers of AI working behind the scenes. But here's the thing. A standard chatbot, even a really fancy one, would probably choke on this question. Why? Well, it all comes down to what the AI model knows and, what it doesn't know. At the core of pretty much any chatbot you talk to, there's what we call a large language model, or an LLM. You can just think of this as the AI's brain. It's been trained on just a staggering amount of text from all over the internet, books, you name it. Its whole job is to understand what you're saying and then predict what word should come next, which is how it sounds so human.
Okay, but here's the catch. The LLM's knowledge is totally static. It's basically frozen in time based on the data it was trained on. So it knows about, say, the Roman Empire or how to write a poem, but it has absolutely no clue about the order you placed 5 minutes ago. Your personal, up-to-the-second data is just completely off its radar.
And this is the key thing to get. The model can only work with what's already inside its own head. It can't just go browse a live database or check on your package. It's like having a brilliant brain, but it's stuck in a library where no new books have been added for a year. So that leads to the big question, right? If this AI brain is stuck in its library, how do we get it connected to the outside world? How do we hand it that fresh, relevant info it needs to actually answer our question?
Well, the answer is this really cool technology called retrieval augmented generation, or RAG for short. The name, I know, it sounds a little complicated, but the idea behind it is actually pretty simple. It's all about retrieving some info to help the AI generate a much better answer.
Basically, RAG acts like a bridge. It connects that powerful LLM brain to outside knowledge, like in our case, the company's live customer order database. It's not changing the brain itself. It's more like a research assistant that runs out and fetches the exact book the brain needs to read right when it needs it.
Okay, so what does this actually look like in action? First, your question, where's my order, comes in. The RAG system immediately goes to work, searching that order database for anything related to you. It finds your latest order details, grabs them, and then it packages them up with your original question. Only then does it hand the whole thing over to the LLM. Now the brain has all the context it needs to give you a real, helpful answer.
And just like that, with RAG's help, the chatbot can now confidently tell you exactly what's going on with your order. It's not just making something up, it's using real data it just retrieved. So, problem solved, right?
Well, not quite. What happens when you don't just want information, but you want to take an action? A request like, okay, cool, now initiate a return for this order. That requires a whole different level of capability. It's not just about reading data, it's about changing data.
And this is where we run into the big limit of RAG. You see, RAG is a fantastic librarian. It's a read-only system. It's great at fetching information for you to read, but it can't actually do anything. It can't call a tool. It can't trigger a refund. It can't update that database. It's totally passive.
So to go from just reading to actually doing, we need to bring in another player. We need something that can make its own decisions, create a plan, and then execute it. And that, my friends, is the job of an AI agent.
An AI agent is the system that really brings it all together. It uses that LLM as its brain for reasoning. But, and this is the important part, it also has access to memory and a set of tools. Think of them like apps or APIs that let it actually interact with and change things in the real world.
Now, when you combine all of this, you get what some people call agentic RAG. The key here is that the agent isn't just following a simple one-way script. No, it's the orchestrator. It's in charge, managing a whole dynamic process, making choices and picking the right tools at the right time to get a job done.
So let's get inside his head for a second. The goal comes in, initiate a return. The agent thinks, okay, first step, I need to know the rules. So it decides to use its RAG tool to look up the company's return policy from the database. Then it thinks, all right, looks good, now I need to actually process the return. So it picks a different tool, the returns API, and uses it. Finally, it checks to make sure everything went through correctly before telling you the good news.
And bam, there you have it. Task complete. The agent handled the entire request from start to finish. It didn't just give you information, it took autonomous action and delivered a complete solution.
Okay, so let's tie this all together with a really simple analogy that honestly makes it all click. The LLM is the brain. It's the thinker, the reasoner. RAG is the library. It provides the brain with all the fresh, up-to-date books it needs. And the agent? The agent is the worker. It's the one who uses the brain and the library to actually go out into the world and get the job done. You see, each of these pieces, the agent, the LLM, and RAG, has its own unique and totally essential job. You need the smart brain, you need the timely information from the library, and you need the autonomous worker to put it all into action. That's how you build these really capable AI systems. And really, this is the main thing to remember. The conversation isn't about which one of these is the best. It's not LLM versus RAG versus agent. The real magic happens when you understand how they work together as these powerful, complementary building blocks to create something way bigger than the sum of its parts.
Which kind of leaves us with this one big, exciting question. We've just seen how we go from a simple chatbot that can't even find an order to an autonomous agent that can process a whole return by itself. So, as these AI workers get smarter and more capable, what's next? What complex jobs are we going to trust them with tomorrow?